Hello everyone, let's get some more people joining. Hi Sarah. Right, so I'm going to invite Sarah in and then we can get started. One moment. Okay. Have you had that because you lost your mum? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get anxious in any sentence where I hear sepsis, or suspected sepsis or urosepsis, things like that. I get anxious. I get angry. I get angry with it, don't get me wrong, but my way of coping is to just raise awareness and to do, charity events to raise money and stuff like that. It keeps me going. And obviously on her first anniversary, me and my oldest son were diagnosed. But I don't think I'll do that again.
So I've just invited Sarah. Hello.
Hello. My chair just broke.
Are you okay?
Yeah, my chair just broke, so I'll stand.
Do you know what?
It's not much of a difference, to be fair.
I always stand, and it just plays havoc with me. So let me put that's better, because my lighting in here is terrible. Right, so hello everyone, and thank you for joining the Instagram live today. And happy Friday. Can't believe it's Friday again. The weeks are just flying by. Right, so I am basically with Sarah Morris today. And so Sarah, if you can quickly introduce yourself and say hello to everybody for me.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Do I need to do my age? No.
No, if you don't want to, you haven't got to.
No, Sarah. And I'm a frontline NHS worker, and 3 years ago I lost my mum to sepsis, and she had a urine infection. Just a urine infection. It's one obviously I've spoken to her about it, and it's what I go on about. She was given amoxicillin for it, and obviously that wouldn't have touched it anyway, but from when she got the diagnosis of a UTI to when we lost her was just basically a couple of days.
So I've obviously been talking to you for a while. I've got to know you sort of on a personal side, and also learned quite a lot about your mum as well. So I'm just going to explain to everyone what these interviews are about and what the purpose is. So these interviews give people the opportunity to tell their story. Some people don't have the platform to speak to the press, to get their stories out there, to help raise awareness. So here we are, and this is the purpose. So Sarah's mum had a UTI, as she has just said, and they're so common, aren't they? Like urine infection, you don't think of anything different.
They are, and obviously you've got which is more well known now, is urosepsis, which is normally diagnosed. So if a urine infection is suspected, and obviously if the patient's temperature is high or low, a blood test can be taken to diagnose urosepsis, and then appropriate antibiotics can be given. But with sepsis, and a urine infection, it can go to the kidney. It can just get worse. Obviously my mum was really unlucky, but it was just how quick everything was. And I'm like really on it. If someone's got a UTI, I'm just like on it, even myself, because I've got a renal condition, so it's something that I tended, I have. But as soon as I suspect it, or my husband usually can tell, because my mood changes, and I know that I've got to go and see my doctor to get the antibiotics. But and another thing is, obviously, if there is a urine infection, there's a couple of antibiotics that are for that. It's trimethoprim and cephalaxin, and there's also nitrofurantoin. But amoxicillin for a urine infection, I don't know, please.
No, I've suffered with urine infections quite badly since I was younger, as well as obviously chest. I'm prone to infections.
Yeah,
I'm one of them people. So obviously a lot of people don't know that you can get sepsis through the likes of just a urine infection. So that's why, do you think it's so important that people raise the awareness that it can just come from anywhere? It can start from anything.
Yeah, and the other thing is, obviously, it's not septicemia either. You know, septicemia is a bacteria in itself, whereas sepsis is, you know, it's, how can I put it? It can affect multiple organs, and it causes organs to attack themselves. Usually the first sign is the kidneys out. With my mum, if I go on about her too much, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to...
No, this is what this is about. So.
It's like when I got the phone call, I raced to the hospital, and as soon as my niece and my sister told me that my mum is, you know, been intubated, and I was like, oh my God, this is really quick. And it just hit me, and I asked the doctor then, because they weren't sure what had happened, you know, because they thought she had a pulmonary embolism, she had a heart attack or a hemorrhage. And I just said, have you checked her lactate acid levels? And they said, oh yeah. And I said, well, what were they? And they said 4.7. So I knew then at that point that she wasn't waking up, because anything above 2 is dangerous. And her temperature was in its 40s, they can't bring it down. And, you know, it's with that, it's just because the lactate is vital, because like you produce lactate acid when you work out or something. When the oxygen drops, usually your kidneys and everything flush it out. But obviously with sepsis, it can't do that. And because it's so high, it shows that your organs are probably failing. So your body can't flush it out. It's just, and it's really so quick, you know. It really is quick. But yeah, I mean, like you say, any like children or adults get a cut on their finger or a bite from an insect, and it's, you know, you've got sepsis. It's everywhere.
So in regards to obviously how you have coped with this, because obviously with a lot of my interviews so far, it has been with people that have survived.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it from the point of view from a family member, because I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. You're either the survivor or you know, it's a lot of survivor stories. So how has it affected you in the sense of, did it just, in regards to like post-sepsis syndrome, have you had that because you lost your mum? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get anxious in any sentence where I hear sepsis, you know, or suspected sepsis or urosepsis, things like that. I get anxious. I get angry. With it, don't get me wrong, but my way of coping is to just raise awareness and to do, you know, charity events to raise money and stuff like that. It keeps me going. And obviously on her first anniversary, me and my oldest son were diagnosed, but I don't think I'll do that again. I'll do something else.
Somebody Laura has just asked me to ask you, has it affected your practice? So obviously you work in the NHS. How has it affected your role within working in that profession? So
when I went back to work, it was a struggle, because the ward that I was on was elderly care, so there was UTIs everywhere, and it was on a daily almost basis that I was being confronted with sepsis. And it got to the point where it didn't take over, but I was monitoring like the input of fluids to the output of urine, because a lot of them are in catheters, so you can actually watch what they're doing. Because with my mum, they were filling her with fluid intravenously, but her catheter was empty, so she was just sweating like a Michelin man, you know. And I had to always just, you know, you can't do that anymore. But I'm on it, and if I suspect sepsis, I was going straight, you know, to the doctor. It takes seconds to check someone's lactate levels. And I know that in a lot of A&Es, a lot of hospitals, anyone now presenting with an infection, I routinely screen for it, and that makes me happy. You know, I don't shut up about it. I don't care if I get on people's nerves. It's, you know, because a few years ago, I'll be honest, we didn't know about it. But the hospitals now do simulation practices. So you are put in a scenario with it actually is like real life, you know, mannequin things, and they have voices, and they're just real life, and you've got to decide if they're septic or, you know, things that really hit home. That was just before she died, so I was kind of had that in my mind. And I'd actually told her a couple of weeks ago about it and said, look, you need to be careful because you're up there on your own, and, you know, but she was stubborn, like a lot of people. But I hope it's made me better at spotting it. I have spotted it, you know, and that's what we're there to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
But also explain to families what sepsis is, because, like, you know, even to this day, no one knows about it. Even with COVID, you know, people are getting secondary infections from it and complications, usually pneumonia, and then they're getting sepsis pneumonia. You know, it's just a vicious circle, but sepsis seems to play a part in a lot of things.
And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
It really is. So someone has put here,
oh no.
They didn't screen my son for sepsis when they realised it was sepsis, it was too late. So obviously working within the profession, would you say that over the last couple of years that they have got a lot more better? Because I know that there's a lot more out there in regards to them spotting it. But
I mean, I can only speak from like the two main hospitals that I've worked in, and yes, they're on it. And where I've been working recently, it's been picked up, you know, in time, touch wood, and that's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. So yeah, it has, in my eyes, it's improved, and it's continuing to improve because there's, you know, everybody's spreading the word now, and there's signs everywhere. Now, when I first lost my mum, I printed out loads of, you know, forms. The Sepsis Trust sent me loads of things. I took to my GP surgery. I put them in pharmacies, and I tell you what, within 2 days they were removed. And I was like, what the hell? And I said to the doctor's receptionist, you know, and I said, well, she said, oh no, we were told to remove them. And I said, by who? She said, oh, I can't say. And I was like, okay. So a few months later, when something was on the news about it, I took them back, and they're up there. And every time I have to go there, which isn't often with one of my children, they're up there, you know, and I'll take a picture to show they're still up there. But I can't ignore it, you know. It's sort of, I started to think, oh my God, is there a conspiracy somewhere? Because why isn't anybody talking about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like a lot of my friends and obviously like my parents didn't really know about it before I got it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about it, and I didn't know what I had actually been through until I'd researched it myself in the weeks after.
Yeah.
And in regards to like awareness and posters and things like that, do you think that we should have more up?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. And also more information and more help for, you know, people that have got the post-sepsis syndrome. And it's, you know, it's traumatic. Your body's been through a lot, so it's not just mentally, it's emotionally, it's physically. And you know, and like you've been saying about your memory loss, people I've met, you know, through all this, all say the same. And the majority, and I know I've mentioned this to you before, and my mum had it, that's why she was found on the floor. She lost the feeling in her legs. And when a child from my son's school was in hospital with it about a year and a half ago, his mum, she saw me, I was finishing my shift, and she said, I said, what's happening? And she said, oh, you know, my son, he's got something called sepsis. Have you ever heard of it? And I was like, oh gosh. And she said, is he going to be all right? And I said, well, has he got antibiotics? Is his temperature going down? You know, it was good, and he did recover. But she said he was just walking and he fell because he couldn't feel his legs. And this seems to be a common thing. So I don't know whether it kind of affects you from the bottom up in that retrospect. I don't know. But a lot of patients have said about a funny feeling in their legs and numbness. Did you have anything like that, if you can remember?
Not within my legs. Mine was my eyesight. Mine was my eyesight. So the day before I was admitted into hospital, I felt absolutely terrible. I just needed to go to work. And as I was driving to work, my eyesight went. And it went really blurry. I couldn't bear any light and I had to put some sunglasses on. And I was just in so much pain. My head was just throbbing. My eyes, I couldn't. You might have seen the picture of me in the hospital bed and I've got sunglasses literally like so tight to my face because I couldn't bear any light. And that was what happened to me. But my main thing was nosebleeds. So leading me to like the before with your mum, was there anything that even like was out of the ordinary with your mum's urine thing? Was there anything that you thought?
Well, mum was like most mums, they're quite characters, but she was the kind that would go to the doctor when there was nothing wrong, but when there was something wrong, she wouldn't go to the doctor. But she told us that she had made this appointment at the doctor's. I think this was for the Tuesday or something. And we found out after she died, she lied. But some antibiotics were dropped off to her, I think, on the Wednesday by the pharmacist, which was obviously amoxicillin. Now, it wasn't until she died that they said to my sister that my mum seemed really anxious, really out of character. And she lived in a flat, like for the over 50s or 60s. So she had her own group of friends. So every Wednesday, they would have like takeaway and play bingo. And one of them, like, well, they just noticed that she wasn't eating. Now, my mum loved her food. So if she wasn't eating, there was something wrong. She was like, no, I just want to sleep. And then my sister, like, I think my mum thought she had the flu, because when my sister spoke to her or texted, she said, no, I'm staying in bed today because I've got a flu, you know, keep away. But I think my sister felt something was wrong with her. Why she went up there and she, you know, she found her. From what I understand, the confusion, she was just basically telling my niece, I'll ring you later, darling, you know, how she would always, don't worry, we'll go shopping. But the paramedics who came, I mean, there was only 3 flights of stairs, but had a fear of lifts. So that took a long time to get my mum down the stairs, because my mum was a big lady. But my niece, one of my nieces went with her in the ambulance and she had a seizure. And I think that was when, you know, she went. Was then, because she didn't kind of break up after that.
Show that time is just of the essence.
It should be up there like stroke, you know, it should have its, you know, its name. So you've got fast, you know, for strokes. It's the same with sepsis. You have to be so quickly, and for them antibiotics to be administered and to start working, because when they do work, they work quickly. Yeah, and a lot of patients now, they have their IVs up and then they'll go home and they can take them orally. But it's just, this is what annoys me, it's so easily detected, and it just should be routinely done, because it's everywhere, you know.
It really should. And I'm so glad that you just said what you just said about being able to take the antibiotic orally.
Yes.
So when I had sepsis for the second time, so it was 6 months after I was in hospital, I got it again. Now, we caught it so early that I was able to have the IV fluid for less than a day, and I was sent home with oral antibiotics, and here I am.
Yeah.
So
you are. No, you're happy.
And it just comes down to time. Like, time is so important, and I feel like people don't understand that, especially with like teenagers. We all have this, I'll be okay, it doesn't matter, it's just a cold, it's just the flu, it's just a paper cut. And the point is, we need to look after ourselves.
I don't know whether you remember, it was a couple of years ago now, I think I hadn't sort of spoken to you for that long. Did I mention to you about Josh, when he had a really bad throat? He still wanted to go to school, and he did, but he had, it was almost like bruised lesions coming up on his legs and his arms, but mainly on his legs. And I said, you know what, I'm not happy. We went to the doctors, and the doctor immediately wanted to do bloods, because, you know, it could have been his platelets, it could have been something else. So he had his blood test done, and they said if it is something like leukemia, you'll know within 2 hours. I didn't get that phone call, but the phone call I got was that his lactate acid, everything was high. His CRP levels were high, so his infection markers were high. So I said, so basically, he's septic. And then when I looked online, those, you know, obviously the dark lesions weren't bruises. It was, you know, discoloration because of the blood and everything. And he was given oral antibiotics. But then I just say, you must have felt rubbish. His temperature was probably on the low side, but because he wanted to go to school, and I've just programmed it into him now. Just tell me, you know, and then I didn't want to worry you, you know, all that. But it's time. But if that had been left another few hours or a day, it might have been different.
Absolutely. And this echoes the comment that has just popped up right in front of me. Sepsis deaths are preventable.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to scroll through because do you know what? We've had so much interaction today, which is amazing. Thank you for commenting because...
sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm sweating. I've got it.
I'm hot. Right, so... I'm just going to have a quick read through.
That's all right.
So marks on the legs again. It started on my son's legs. His legs were purple, warm to touch. And when they put it down to his nappy being too tight 5 hours before he died, that is awful. I'm so sorry.
Seriously.
I'm so sorry. We've got a very impressive campaign. Well done. And now Little Red's Legacy is commenting. Now, do you know those are the Little Red's Legacy?
I've heard of.
You've heard of them. Okay, so they have their own campaign that they run, and you guys, I know you're watching because you're commenting. The campaign that you run is amazing. And thank you for doing what you do. So I'm just going to read their comments. So they put, we lost our amazing son Sean, aka Little Red, to sepsis on the 12th of January 2018. We had never heard of sepsis before it stole our son. Now we do all that we can to raise awareness. I know you do, and you do an amazing job.
Thank you. It's really, you know, my emotions, it's almost like, I'll be honest, I have to act a lot, you know, at work. But obviously I took some time off recently, you know, we had a break on our own. And I think that is when it hit me, and I told you, I just literally had to release everything, you know. It just makes me more determined, you know. I know everybody deals with grief differently, but I've always said I won't stop until it stops, and I won't, and I don't care if I annoy anybody, you know. It's not that's just my mum, talking about everybody, you know, there's children, and there's so many babies that have been, you know, it's heartbreaking. It really is.
It really is. And the campaign, the hashtag around the world in 13 days, has broken my heart.
Yeah.
It really has. So let's talk about the UK Sepsis Trust then. So how have they supported you? Because they are amazing.
Well,
what we have here in the UK is brilliant. I'm just going to take this off because I'm so hot.
So I'm balancing on one leg, like I've got cramp. That's why I might move in a minute. Well, it wasn't literally until I was going to do my skydive, you know, I looked into doing it, and it was my son Luke, I think, who might have mentioned it, I can't remember, because he sort of tricked me into doing it, but then I'm glad I did it, because he couldn't run a marathon, and because I think he chipped a bone or something in his foot. So I said, is there anything I can do to make you feel better? And he was like, would you consider doing a skydive? I was like, yeah, great. So we did it, and raised, you know, over £1,000, if I remember. It was great. But he ended up running the marathon anyway. But it wasn't until I was researching who I raised money for because of sepsis that I found the UK Sepsis Trust, and they had and they sent me so much information. But I think it was actually, no, tell a lie. I got in touch with them a few weeks after she died, because that's who sent me all the posters and the collection boxes and things like that. But then I didn't do anything. I went back to work, focused on that, raising awareness. And then when I did my skydiving, it wasn't until I did it that the emotions got the better of me. And so they were there on hand, through emails. And I can't remember her name now. It might have been Emma. So it was emailing and checking up on me. Is there anything they can do? You know, it was just, and it doesn't stop, does it? They're amazing. And then I found you. But no, it's yeah, I can't thank them enough. And so my next mission will be for the trust again. I don't know what I'll be doing. Yeah, it won't be another skydive, but it's
don't fancy that one again.
I was glad I did it. I got a free facelift up there. It's great. And you know, when it looks like people are having a whale of a time, it's not, because the G-force just makes you look like you're smiling. It looks like I'm loving it. I did love it when I was gliding down, but the free fall bit, it's not for me.
Yeah, no.
So
I would do anything for charity, but throw myself out of plane.
Oh no, you've got to do it now.
So if anyone has done anything for charity, I want you to comment. Done anything for charity, I want you to comment below what you would like to see me do, because let's have a laugh with it. Let's
Could you do a wing walk? Why don't you do a wing walk?
A wing walk?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's where you are sat on the wing of a plane while it flies, and you do all some waving, and you know, I was considering it, but then I thought, no, I might abseil down a tall building. But I had a fear of heights and flying before I did it, so that's good.
Bless you. So your mission is for them again, then. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes. They are amazing. They've been a huge support for me. Like I've said this before. Now in my journey, a lot of people have said to me, "Have you spoken to a counsellor?" And I'm like, "No, because I didn't need to."
Yeah.
I didn't need to, because I went into raising awareness, talking to other people, and that is what helped me personally. It's what's helped you.
Yeah, it's talking to you has helped a lot, and then other people's, you know, experiences and stories. Obviously, you know, people who have survived it, that's wonderful. But then obviously you've got the post-sepsis, you know, syndrome and conditions that come with that, which again is that heartbreaking, because people seem to forget that it's a long recovery, and sometimes you're not fully recovered. But just reading people and the way people have made life changes because they've had this experience, you know, it just boosts you a bit more. But that, I mean, yeah, I think I always find that if I'm speaking to someone about a certain issue or thing, I prefer to speak to someone who's been through it themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because then it's like first hand. And like when obviously we lost patients as well with it, or, you know, other things. And, you know, unfortunately we can't hug at the moment. And that's a massive blow, because we didn't realise how much we love to hug. It makes things better. But before, you know, say, look, you've got this, and make me how you feel. And I've often cried, but it's because I care.
Yeah.
Do cry, and you can't help it. The patients become my family instantly, and it'll always be like that, you know. I just yeah, I hope she's proud of all of us, you know.
I think she can. You wrote a dedication letter to her, didn't you? And it's on my website. So if anyone wants to read Sarah's personal dedicated letter to her mum, please read it. Because yeah, I think her mum would be very proud of you.
I mean, yeah, right.
I really do.
Josh, I've got Josh and Matt. Well, my youngest Josh is nearly 10, so he was, you know, a lot younger a few years ago. But it is every single day he will mention her. But they call her Nanny Lift because she had a lift in her flat. And everything is Nanny Lift. And that was in the dedication letter as well. But yeah, you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you?
You have. So to round this up, it can be as long or as short as you like. What is your one message to someone that doesn't know what it is, to someone that is oblivious to sepsis and the dangers, and to those that have sadly either suffered or actually who have lost a parent? What is your one message to them?
Well, obviously, if people still haven't heard of it, there's loads of people out. I mean, in America, it took a while for them to, you know, hear about it. And I did actually join a group about daughters losing their mums and things like that. I'm not on it anymore because some things I wasn't, you know, it made me feel bad for smiling, you know, things like that. But when I mentioned what my mum died of, they were coming forward going, oh my God, that's what my mum died, you know. And I'm still in touch with these ladies because it wasn't known, it is now, you know. But if you haven't heard of it, even if people are watching who haven't heard of it, look it up. Look at the difference between that and septicemia as well. And just be knowledgeable. The signs are pretty obvious to see when you can highlight and bullet point what they are. But you really need to look out for the temperature. It could be too high, too low. Urine input, output. Yeah, if it's not matching what's going in, doesn't matter. If what's going in doesn't match going out, things like that, clamminess, you know, and also maybe the sensation in the legs. But you would know if a loved one, you know, is showing signs. One thing I do want to point out, sorry, is on most wards now we've got when we do our observations, we've got a vital pad. It looks like a mobile phone, and when you put in the observation results, it calculates and things, and it will come up sepsis, think sepsis, and you have to go straight to the doctor. So it's like a little robot mechanism thing that can pick it up, even if you don't know about it. It's telling you as a nurse, whoever, that this thinks sepsis. So that is a massive change. I don't think it's in all hospitals, but it should be. But yeah, so if people are seeing a loved one and when you can visit again, if it looks like we're on a mobile phone, you're not, it's a vital pack. So yeah. Have I just gone off on one? Sorry, I'm like, sorry.
So your one message is just to know the signs and the symptoms and be aware.
Yeah, just be aware and spread that awareness. And, you know, if you know someone who works in a healthcare, you know, building or deals with people on a daily basis like that, get your posters. They're free, or you can print them off and put them up. Because people will look, and if it's something they haven't heard of, but it's standing out there and it's a big red poster, I think sepsis, they will ask what it is. You know, and it also gives like the website and the information where you can do to get the information from. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that doesn't just stand for here in the UK. I'm talking USA, I'm talking Africa, I'm talking Ireland, wherever you are, wherever you live, raise awareness. Depending on country, obviously, the figures differ. And obviously, it is a global health crisis everywhere. And the one thing I like to point out too, and I kind of use it quite a lot, really, is when people say how fortunate we are here in the UK and to have our NHS health system. Now, yes, we are very fortunate, but we still lose a lot of people to sepsis. And the way I look at it is, yes, we are fortunate because in regards to the healthcare system, because if you look at the likes of the lower countries, i.e. the ones that haven't got the high health and hygiene, where sepsis is right.
Yeah.
And I could go into that on a different level, to be honest. But again, it comes down to awareness. Hygiene is another key thing with sepsis as well, making sure your hygiene is on point. I'm not just saying that because of the coronavirus. I'm saying just be on top of your hygiene as well, because my one thing is if I get a cut or a scratch, I'm a nightmare. I'll put Savlon straight on it.
Yeah.
My whole drawer is full of Savlon. I'm a nightmare. It could just be a small paper cut. I'm like, right, smother it. And
yeah, but it's best to be safe. To be honest, I'm quite like that at home. I'm not like a clean freak or anything like that, but it's just obviously one of the boys cuts themselves or I cut myself. I'm on it to rock it. I just
it's the way to do it, isn't it? So let's round up today's interview, because I don't want to keep everyone for too long. So I'm going to quickly go back over some of the new comments. Okay, so your mum is so proud of you, Sarah, and so am I. That's lovely. She obviously knows you. Thank you for coming on to watch Sarah today. Means the absolute world. I think her name's Miss Louise Lorraine or Lorraine Louise.
Yeah. I've known her since like infant school.
We've got
Amazing.
Carol. I thought sepsis was just the new name for septicemia.
No.
We didn't know that there was a difference.
No, this is the confusing. Yeah, it's as I said before. So sepsemia is blood poisoning. It's a bacteria in itself, whereas sepsis is an infection that can lead to sepsemia or blood poison, but it works its way through your organs, and your organs attack each other, which is why another first sign is poor urine output or none. And I have heard stories where parents have been to the doctors saying my child hasn't weed, and they're saying, well, give them more fluids. It's not that parent knows, and they're trying so hard, but there are GPs, they're in denial, oh, it's not going to be that. And it's frustrating, it's upsetting, but it needs to change, and it will change. It's got better in the last 18 months, 2 years for sure, from my perspective, and it just has to. And now we've got obviously COVID. Sepsis is being heard of more because obviously it's playing a big role in it.
Yeah, absolutely, it really is.
Yeah, and yeah, so just research it, and just it can be from any kind of, it can be from like a tonsillitis or a cut finger, different ways the way you get an infection, it can be there, but it's not septicemia.
No, so if you're unsure of what the differences are, 100% go online, Sepsis Alliance, UK Sepsis Trust, it's all on there, nhs.com, .co.uk, it's all on there, all the information that you need. So then we've got Little Red Legacy, early recognition and rapid treatment is the key to survival.
Yeah. If I had a magic wand, I would do so. Anybody that was in A&E or in hospital, everybody would be routinely screened, lactate acid levels checked. That anything above 2, think sepsis. Get the treatment. Then it doesn't take long to do. It's like when you're checking someone's blood sugar. I think change is going to come. And it needs to.
Let's hope so. We've got Dave Hope. Sepsis is so scary and attacks so quick. I hate it.
Same. I hate it. I hate it with passion.
I think we're all in that. We're all in that circle, and we're all here to support each other. And I've managed to connect quite a few people, and I've connected with quite a few people over it, and people that I think that I will talk to for a lifetime. Because we've got
honestly, you have helped me so much. I can't thank you enough. You've just been there, and I haven't got on your nerves. I did tell you I might have it on a bit because I live with all boys, so I don't get a chance to talk. But thank you. Honestly, your parents must be proud. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm proud of everybody that shared their stories, because it couldn't have been easy. I think the sun's just gone down.
My mum is very proud. I think she gets very emotional, because with me it happened so quick, and I think she sees what I do now, and
Yeah.
It was so close to being a different story.
Yeah.
And you know, that's why I do what I can, because I know that life is just so short. Abby J Ward, where on the website is the dedication letter? Okay, Abby, if you head to my personal website, jestuffield.com, there is a link to dedication page. All of the letters are all on there. So www.jestuffield.com, dedication page is on there.
Abby's my niece.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get Sarah to send it across to you.
I'll send it.
Okay. I think that is about everybody. So we will follow the both of you on Instagram. That's okay. Yes, please do.
Go ahead.
I'm going to round that up here tonight, because it has been 42 minutes to be exact.
Oh God, sorry.
All right. So if you enjoy these live Instagrams, please let me know, because is this something that you want to continue? Do you think that this should continue? And yeah, if you want to get involved, if you want to help tell your story, contact me. I'm going to try and do one every Friday, I think.
Yeah.
See how many. I've got quite a few booked in. So
no, keep doing it, because obviously every story is different, but it's all got that one thing in common, and it's sepsis. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for taking part today. I know that your leg must be numb.
It is, but I don't even know why I'm bothering sitting down, because I'm literally the same height, like standing anyway. So it's like, oh my God, yeah.
You know what? I feel like I've been doing a squat the whole time.
I've done that. I've got one toned leg.
Well, thank you, and thank you to everyone who has watched, because without your interaction and without you actually coming on and watching these, it just helps. It helps so much. And if you've missed or at the beginning of it, don't panic. It's going to be on the World Sepsis Day grid, and it's also going to be on my YouTube channel and on my website, where Sarah is now going to have her own personal page on my website. All right. I'll send you the link to it when I've created it.
That's right.
You've got your own personal page. If there's ever anything that you want posted on there, a blog, anything, you let me know and we'll get it on there.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, gosh.
Well, again,
thank you so much, honestly.
No, you're more than welcome, honestly. You know where I am. If you ever need anything, you give me a message. And I'm sure I'll talk to you very soon. And thank you for taking part in my campaign.
Thank you.
I believe we're at just under 18,000 in 3 days.
That is huge. I mean, you've worked so hard. I mean, you worked hard last year, but this one, it's just, like you said, it's phenomenal. It's just it's mad, and you've done an amazing job. You do.
It just blew up. 18,000 people, 3 days, and just under 700 shares.
So yeah, I think a couple of who are on my friends, it was them who I met through the grieving, daughters thing, and their mums died of sepsis, and I think they've shared it as well. So that's in America, so it's doing what it's meant to do.
Good. So anyone watching this, if you haven't shared #around the world in 13 days, please head on to Facebook and give it a share, because there might be someone on your Facebook that doesn't know what sepsis is. So if you share it and they see it, you might prevent someone from suffering from it. And that's what the campaign is meant to do. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for taking part. I really appreciate it.
It's got dark. That's all right.
All right.